bakers and bakerettes, how are you? I hope you guys are having an awesome hump day, because my day is going wonderful. Right? So today I'm going to do a dinner prep, and so I'm going to bake some white sweet potatoes. And I have a funny story about these white sweet potatoes. As you know, white's my favorite. When I was in grad school in Florida, my roommate, who was from Georgia, she used to always doubt, and this is a true story because she shared it with me years later. She used to doubt that there were a such thing as a white sweet potato. She never told me this whenever I was talking about, like I would go home for the weekends, and one of my favorite things was to, find some white sweet potatoes to bring back. She thought when I would cook white sweet potatoes that I was cooking white Irish potatoes or Irish potatoes. Like the potatoes that you bake in the oven when you have steaks. Of course, you can do sweet potatoes too. And I would always say white sweet potatoes. But for some reason, her mind correlated the white sweet potato with like the Idaho russet white potatoes. And she used to look at me funny when I would say it, but she never asked any questions. But then later on, after we finished grad school, she's married with her kids, we were talking, and she told me that she thought I was lying because she had never seen a white sweet potato. And she was from Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, which was kind of odd. She said they just knew the red. But anyway, she did like the white ones though. Then her husband was from St. Lucia. And so when she moved, they got married and transitioned to St. Lucia, the white sweet potatoes were in abundance at the markets. And every time she goes, she would get so tickled. And so she had to call me to tell me that she thought I was lying about the white sweet potatoes until she moved to St. Lucia, and they were like in abundance at every market. It was the white ones that were so popular. And then I had to break it to her that I do like the white ones, but I had tried the purple ones, and I like those. I think the white and the purple are kind of like tied right now as top of the pick for me. Either or would be considered a favorite. So I had to break it to her that there were now some purple ones. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to. It's a lot of things I say people doubt. I've gotten used to it. When you're comfortable in your own skin, and you know that you know that you know, you don't worry about other people, and you don't question anything. You keep it moving. Okay. So that part I'm used to. I don't worry about it. Because if I say something, it's truth to it. All right. So, and if any of you've tried any of my bakes, you know that there's truth to it. All right. So we're gonna move on. I have baked potatoes before, and I shared with you what I do. I usually rub some butter. You can use salted or unsalted. You can use margarine if you have margarine. Whatever you have is fine. I usually rub this on the outside of my potatoes, because I find that this helps my potatoes to, they be really soft when they cook. And, of course, that butter it's just absorbed. And you guys know this is one of my little tips here. Some people use vegetable oil. Some people use Crisco shortening or it's some type of shortening. It doesn't necessarily have to be the name brand. But, to each his own. Whatever you have in your kitchen, you guys know the drill. Use it. Don't go out trying to reinvent the wheel and buy something to follow along to mimic what someone else is doing in their kitchen. Use the ingredients that you are accustomed to. Okay? All right. And there's nothing wrong with them. We all have our preferences. All right, so now I have my potatoes buttered. Can you guys guess what the next step is? Okay, that signifies that somebody knows. That's the oven, and I've set my temperature to 350. Some people bake theirs on 375. Some people bake theirs on 400. Personal preference. I simply use 350. So if you guessed that I'm about to add some ground cinnamon and some ground ginger, then you guessed correct. Right? And as I said in the last recording, some people say, oh, you add that once it's baked. That's what you do. Remember, this is my kitchen. And I add it now before they bake. And then once they're done, I slice them open. I add butter, unsalted butter. And I add more cinnamon. And I add more ginger. If you like nutmeg or allspice, then you can add that. It's whatever you want. Cloves. You can sprinkle a little ground cloves on it as well. I've done that before. I just like cloves, and I like the aroma that it gives your kitchen when you're cooking. Just like the cinnamon and the ginger. Because in my kitchen, as I said on previous recordings, think out of the box. Yeah. You can't get it right until you get it wrong. Okay. Thought for today. Yep. If everybody went into the kitchen cooking and getting it right first time around, we wouldn't have a lot of recipes. Because recipes come from people's failures, but failure is not a failure unless you keep trying. And that's why you have so many variations of recipes. It could be the same bake or cook, but the ingredients and the proportions of the ingredients are different. Because again, everybody cooks to satisfy their taste buds, right? And there's certain seasonings that each of us use. All right, so I've got my spices on. All right. Let's see if I can get to my I don't think I'm gonna be able to. That's fine. All right. I was gonna add some cloves, but that's fine. All right. So now, see, I'm always modifying recipes. So now, what I do is I wrap the potato in the foil, and I don't wrap mine tight. I like to wrap them kind of light, and then I just fold the edges of the foil. I make a little pocket. Or an envelope, or however you want to describe it. And I just fold the edges so that nothing leaks out into my oven. So now they are ready to go in the oven. And I have a cover in the bottom of the oven to keep anything from dripping. I bought an oven cover. All right, so now I'm just going to place these in the oven about center of the middle or the bottom rack, because the middle part of the oven is going to be the hottest. Okay. Now, if you wanted to do air fry on a lot of the recipes that I try, you can also use your air fryer. My stove has air fryer. Sometimes I'll use it, sometimes I don't. But if you like to use air fry, you may do so. If you like to bake your potatoes in the microwave, in a bag, or in paper towel, you may do so. I just like the smell of the baked potato with the cinnamon and ginger, the aroma that it gives off when the heat hits it. It's just awesome. All right, so I'll place this butter back in the refrigerator. Okay, so I have my potatoes in the oven. They're gonna cook So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare some camellia, and these are the Great Northern's beans. Okay, this is what I'm going to prepare. Now with these beans, what I have done is the first thing you want to do is you want to sort through your beans. Okay, and I just usually get a mesh colander, and you want to sort through the beans, make sure that all of the beans are good, that they're intact. And you also want to search through and make sure that you don't have any foreign objects in your beans, because sometimes, depending on where these are packaged, camellia is usually pretty good. I've very rarely gotten any additives such as rocks or stones, but in some of them, especially the kidney beans, I have seen a few. Right, so you sort through your beans and make sure that everything is good, that all of the beans are in pretty good condition, that you don't have any foreign objects such as rocks or stones or things like that. Then you want to wash the beans under cold water. So I leave them in the mesh colander, and I just put my nozzle on spray, and I spray the beans down really, really good, and I wash them. Then I allow the water to just be released from the colander. Okay. And now I'm ready to add them to my boiler. So with the boil, what you need to do is you have between 8 to 10 cups of water. Okay. Then you're gonna, and this is an actual 1 pound bag of the beans that I'm preparing. So for 1 pound of beans, you need about 8 to 10 cups of water. Then you want to add whatever meat that you're using to boil. If you want to fry bacon and use the oil off the bacon, or use the oil and the bacon, that's your choice. If you want to use ham hocks, any of the cured porks to boil, that's your choice, your prerogative. If you have smoked moose meat, smoked bear, smoked whatever kind of meat you have that you want to use as a flavoring for your meat when it boils, or for your beans, you, by all means, please do so. Of course, you know, I use smoked turkey wings or smoked turkey necks or smoked turkey legs, whichever is available in my local market at the time that I need to prepare something. That's what I use. I just like the turkey. I'm kind of a little bit on the healthier eating side. But, you know, no offense to those who, you know, eat their pork. Fine, right? Whatever you use as a flavoring meat, that's what you use, right? So you want to place that in your boiler, and I have a 5-quart boiler here, and you want to allow it to boil, all right? Of course, when it's smoked, it's done. So you're just boiling about 30 to 45 minutes, because you want those flavors to be released into the water, right? So then you cut up, depending on how you like onion, and this is 1 pound of beans. So for 1 pound of beans, you cut 1 onion. And I cut half of an onion, and I use the white onion, or you can use the yellow, whichever you prefer, whatever you have. All right. I also cut 2 of the fresh green onions. I'm adding that. So instead of doing 1 whole onion, I'm adding. And also, I cut 1 clove of garlic. All right. So you can add 2 tablespoons of oil, and that's whatever oil that you use. Olive oil, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, vegetable oil, whatever oil you're using. You can put 2 tablespoons in a skillet, and you can add your onions and your garlic to it, and you can kind of like saute them, right? And once you saute it, then it's ready to be added to your boiling water mixture, right? I also added some butter, 2 tablespoons of butter to the water. If you would like to add 2 tablespoons of the oil, or if you want to use oil of bacon meat that you fried, or if you want to just put some vegetable oil or some olive oil in your water, that's fine. What it does is just like cooking noodles. It helps to, if the beans get done, it helps them from like sticking and being like gummy. So it helps to keep the beans separated. All right, so now I've added my aromatics to the water, and so now I'm going to add the beans. All right, so I'm just going to add the beans to the water, and I always stir mine. Now, if you don't want to saute the vegetables, you don't have to. You can just simply add them into the boiling water. that works fine, no problem. If you want to roast them, you can roast them, that's fine. If you wanted to add some of the peppers, you could also do that. Now, as far as seasoning to these beans, I seasoned them with black pepper. I used about a pinch of cayenne pepper or any Cajun seasoning that you have. You can add salt, about 1/4 teaspoon or a teaspoon if you're, love salt. So black pepper, Cajun seasoning or cayenne pepper. You can use the flakes if you have those, that's fine. I added my special ingredient that I use for cooking all the time, my seasoning. I added that to it as well. If you want to add some garlic powder, I added just a dash of garlic powder, a dash of onion powder, just for adding flavor. You can do that. So whatever seasoning that you have that's of choice, that is fine to use. It's no problem. So now that these are on, I'm going to cook them for 2 hours. And so you're going to cover them and allow them to cook for 2 hours. And then you check them every 15 to 30 minutes, whatever schedule you have for when you're cooking. You check them. I usually check mine every 20 minutes just to make sure. And as the water boils within that 2 hour time span, so I start off with 8 cups of water. So within that 2 hour time span, I'm checking it every 20 minutes so I can add water to it if it seems like the water is boiling out, all right? But as long as they're covered, you shouldn't lose that much water. It's when the lid is off that the water converts its phase and it becomes a gas and it dissipates and you start to lose it, or most people say condensation or evaporation, okay? So with that being said, make sure you keep them covered, all right? So I'm gonna keep them covered and allow them to cook for 2 hours. And in that time span, the potatoes will be cooking as well. So they should come out about the same time. As far as the rutabagas, I've already cleaned the rutabaga. I've already cut it up and I've already put it in a boiler to boil. All right, so they're primarily almost done. To the rutabagas, what I do is, and I'll do a little video on how to remove the wax from the rutabaga on a separate video, but I remove the wax, I wash them, I clean it really good, I remove the skin, I cut them into little quarters, and then I add 2 tablespoons of sugar to the water, and you just put enough water to cover the top of your rutabagas, and then I throw in a bay leaf, all right, and then I allow it to cook. And the rule with the rutabagas is that you cook them until they're tender enough for a fork, a toothpick, or a kebab stick, or whatever you're using to go through. Not to go through and break it apart, but just to go through and come out clean. Not to penetrate through it and crumble it up or it divides into halves or quarters. You just want to be able to push it in, pull it out, and it's whatever you're using, it comes out clean, all right? And also rutabagas will turn color. It's going to be like a peachy kind of a cross between a peach and an orange, a light orange color. That's when they're done, all right? All right, so now that I have the potatoes in the oven and I have the beans cooking and my rutabagas are also cooking, I'm going to place you on a brief pause, and then I'm going to put everything together and we're going to prep some cornbread muffins. So hang tight. Okay, I have everything that I need to prepare the bread. Cornbread muffins, or you can use it to make a pan of cornbread. All right, so I'm using white lily buttermilk cornmeal mix. So you're going to need 2 cups of this. Okay, so I have 2 cups of the cornmeal. Then you can add 1 or 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar, and that's a personal preference. I'm adding 1 tablespoon. Then you're going to add 1 egg. And as far as the vegetable oil, you can use whichever oil you would like, but you have to have 1/4 cup. Of course, I'm using Crisco vegetable oil. And as far as the milk, you want 1 1/4 cup, 1 1/4 cup. So you can use whole milk, which is what I'm using, or if you would like to, you can use buttermilk and make buttermilk cornbread. If you want to, you can use hot water, and you can make hot water cornbread. Whatever milk, almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, cow's milk, sheep's milk, goat's milk, whatever milk you have on hand, it'll work, okay? And I know some people say, oh, you say that. Yes, it will work, because there are a lot of people, and I even follow a lot of homesteaders, and I know that they have cattle, which they have cow milk, they have sheep that they milk, they have goats. So no need to run to the store to buy anything. A recipe is a recipe, and you can use whatever you have on hand. So you then mix all of your ingredients together. So you get everything well incorporated. Your oil, of course, oil and water doesn't mix, but the oil, the egg, the cornmeal, then you add your milk. You have your sugar, and then you just bring everything together. All right. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more of the cornmeal. If it's too loose for you, you just add a little more cornmeal. You guys know what consistency that you usually prepare when you prepare your bread. Yeah, I just need just a little more of the meal. All right, so now that I have everything all mixed up together, I'm ready to place it in the muffin pans and place it in the oven. Now, as I said, you can make a cornbread in your regular wrought iron skillet. I like to do the muffins, even the little individual cones. The reason is because I can store them. This isn't something that will get eaten in a day. It'll take maybe 3 or 4 days. So you can do the muffin tins, or you can do these. I'm going to do the individuals in this one, because I always do the muffins, so I'm going to do something a little different this time. Alright. So I'm going to spray my pan with my spray, and this is a non-stick pan, but as we know, it's always good to be prepared. You never know what's going to happen. Alright, and I always spray it over the sink because it's easy to clean up instead of creating oil around my stove or on my counter. Alright, so then we fill this. And I usually use my 1/4 cup. I just think it's easier to do it that way and quicker. So of course these would be more than 1/4, but I just put a 1/4 in each one, and then I'll see where it is. Just eyeball it. And then I will come back and add a little more. But you don't want them to be too big. Just enough for like 1 serving. So when I come back behind it, I just add half of the four. So I have everything ready, and now these are ready to go in the oven. I don't fill them all the way, about halfway, and that's usually enough. All right, so these are ready to go in the oven as well. All right. So now while I have everything in the oven, I'm gonna place you on a brief pause. And when it's time to bring out the potatoes, the bread, and the beans, when they're ready, I will pick you back up. Hello, everyone. The bread is done. It's ready to be removed from the oven. It is very beautiful golden brown. The potatoes are still cooking, and so are the beans. So I'm just going to remove the bread from the container. I don't leave it in too golden brown. I don't want to leave it in too long. I like doing bread this way, and even doing the muffins. It's just so convenient. You don't have to cut anything. You just prepare the individuals, and they're good to go. So I have taken the bread out, and I'm just gonna leave it on a little tray and let it cool. Of course, I'll be washing and cleaning the dishes from the bread prep, or the bake, I should say, because I've already washed the bowls and utensils. All right, so that's it for the bread. I'm gonna allow this to cool to room temperature, and I actually have a lid that goes on my container. I don't want to put it on right now because I don't want it to be too hot. Now, one thing about bread is that once it comes out of the oven and it's hot, you can add like some butter. Just take the butter and like run it around the sides if it seems like it's gotten a little too dark for you. If it's a little too crunchy, and that'll help to soften it up. You can do the same thing for biscuits, and also the side of a cake. If you seem like it baked just a little bit too brown for you, instead of cutting it off, you can just take some butter and run some butter around the edges where it's dark, and around the sides and the bottom, and it'll and also across the top, and it'll keep it soft, and it'll keep it moist also. All right, tip of the day. All right, so I'm going to place you back on the pause, and we're going to wait on the beans to cook. And in the time that the beans are cooking, I have some meat that's soaking, and I'm going to clean it really well and get it seasoned, and then I'll be back on for that prep. Hang tight. Okay, everyone, the beans are still cooking, and I have some chicken wings that I'm going to fry, which is something that I usually don't do, but I'm going to fry these. Right now, how I prep my chicken wings is that I soak them in cold water for about 20 minutes. Then I pick off any remaining pin feathers, or if there's like any yellow like fat, or like little dark where they burnt the pin feathers and they stuck in. I pull all that off of my meat. Okay, then I wash it until the water's clear, and after that I soak it in vinegar, like chicken, and like if I cook pork chops for someone, because I don't eat pork, I will soak them in vinegar, white distilled vinegar, for about 20 minutes. And then I wash them again. A lot of people just take their meat right out of the pack, season it, put it on the grill, stick it in the oven, put it in some grease. And if that's what you do, then that's what you do. I wash my meat really good. I clean it. I get all of the fat, excess fat off it, any like pin feathers or like any of the remnants that's left behind. All right, so that's what I do to prepare the meat. And I make sure I use cold water when I'm washing or cleaning any of my meat products. Now, I've already got my flour already in the bag. And now I'm going to season the meat. And I'm using my favorite seasoning, which is the garlic and herb seasoning. And again, I don't do it by teaspoon. I just season the meat. I can like visually see when enough is enough, right? Then I'm going to put some black pepper, some ground black pepper. I'm going to season it with black pepper. And when you're seasoning your meat, you use the seasonings that you like. You don't follow somebody's recipe and, oh, I didn't like it, it didn't have flavor. You use the seasonings that you like to season yours. I'm going to use some garlic powder. And two things I really like is pepper and I like garlic. I'm going to sprinkle just a light sprinkle of paprika. And I also have some onion powder. I'm gonna give it a light sprinkle of the onion powder. And I'm gonna half of this. Well, let me mix these first. So then I toss all the meat around in the bowl to make sure that everything gets evenly coated with the seasoning. And I do have my grease on. I have it heating up. I just use Crisco. And so I toss the meat until it's all well seasoned. So then I'm going to split this as I always do. So I'm frying 10, so I'll do 5 and 5. The 5 on the right are going to be mine because they're on the right and I'm cooking them right, and that's without salt. And then the ones on the left, I'm going to sprinkle a little salt on them. Okay. And then I'll mix those up. All right. So now that I have them seasoned, we'll wash these seasonings. So now that I have the meat seasoned, I'm going to wait on the oil to heat up. It's not ready. And then I will pick you back up when it's time to drop them in the grease. Okay guys, the grease is ready. So I take my wings and I just drop them. I'm gonna do mine first because they don't have salt on them. I take my wings and I actually tuck this behind it. I drop this in the Ziploc bag, seal it, and then I kind of toss the wings in the bag. Now everybody has their way of doing it. Some people do it in a bowl, some in a plate, some use a brown paper bag. You know, everybody has their way of doing it. I just use a Ziploc bag and I toss it. Okay. Then I take them out one by one and I just tap them on the bag to remove any of the excess flour that's on them. Okay, so these are ready to go in the grease. And as I said, the grease is ready, it is hot. And I usually cook mine, again, on medium heat. I don't want to cook them too fast, and I don't want to overcook them, all right? So then I just take them and I drop them in the grease. And I use this little cover. It's like a mesh cover to keep the grease from popping out all over the stove or the counters. So I just place them in the grease, one by one. And I allow them to cook. All right. I let mine cook until it's like golden brown on both sides. I take a fork, and you can take a knife, and I like put a hole through the top just to make sure that it cooks through and through. So while this is frying, I'm going to place you on a brief pause, and I'll pick you back up when it's time to remove them from. Hello everyone. The first 5 wings are done. I just fry them until they're like golden brown on both sides. I turn them over twice throughout the cook. Doesn't take long for wings. And I just put them in a container. Drain the remaining oil off of them. Now I will put the last 5 in, and these are the ones again that has the salt on them. And I just tap them against the bag to make sure that I get all of the excess flour or batter, whatever you use to cook yours in. As far as the batter, you can just use all-purpose flour and add your seasonings to it. You can also buy a lot of different seasonings that are for chicken, if you like that. It's easier for you. But just know that they do have seasoning. So if you use the batter that's already seasoned in the bag, make sure that you go light on any seasoning that you add to your meat, because you could over season it. It could be a little too salty. Alright? So I have my last 5 wings dropped. And I place the cover. That just helps the grease from popping out. I'll throw that in the tray. And this is what the first 5 look like. Okay. So I will place you on a brief pause while the last 5 cook, and then we will take a look at the overall prep. I'll be right back with you. Hello everyone. I'm back. I'm going to remove the last 5 pieces of the fried chicken wings. They are done. Again, I just let them get like a golden brown. I cook them on both sides. I make sure I turn them at least twice throughout the cook. Okay. But everyone has their way of preparing meat, frying chicken. Sometimes, if it was chicken breast, thighs, I would usually soak them in milk, an egg, and then take them and batter them and fry them. Or with the chicken wings, I usually just drop them in the grease and fry them. So this is what the final product looks like. They're all golden brown. I'm just going to wrap them in some foil in this container and allow them to come to room temperature. Right. So everything is done. The beans are done. I still have them on low, and I'll show you what they look like. This is what the Northern beans look like. Now, if you want it to be a little thick, if you take the back of your spatula and kind of push them up to the side of the pan and kind of don't squish them or mash them too hard. You just want to pop some of them, not all of them, just some of them, and that'll give you like a little, like the thickness that you see in the as they say, the pot liquor that's on them. All right. So you just push your spatula against the beans and push them up to the side of the pan and just press them. You just want to pop some of them, right? And that'll give you that thick gravy-like juice, liquid, pot liquor, whichever you call it, sauce that's around it. All right. So I still have these on low. The rutabagas, they're done as well. And as far as the rutabagas, like I said, they turn like an orange color when they're done. Right, so they're ready. Of course, the bread is done and the potatoes are done. All right, so I'm just gonna allow the meat to like come to room temperature, come down. It's a little too hot to eat it right out of the grease. And then I will prepare the plate, and I will share the prepared plate on my community page. Just like when I prepare cakes, I slice them and I usually share them on the community page. So when it's time to serve, I will prepare a plate, I'll take a snapshot of it, and I'll post it on the community page for your view. Right? So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining me on today's cook. This is a dinner preparation. I'm so glad that you took time out of your busy schedules to join me on my channel. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you are a subscriber, you know I greatly appreciate you. I ask that you will click the like button, which is the thumbs up. That just helps to push the videos out into the algorithm of YouTube so that everyone else gets to see all of the epic adventures that we're on in my kitchen. All right? Please leave a comment below, positive or negative. You guys know the drill. If it's positive, I don't mind responding. If you leave a negative comment, I stroll right past you to the next positive. All right, if you have any questions about any of the things that I've prepared today, please feel free to email cassieskitchencreation@gmail.com. Also, if you would like any of these recipes, just ask. Some people ask that if I would put it in the description. I will. If you would like for me to place them in the description, just leave a comment and I'll drop them there for you. All right. So again, thank you guys for joining me. I'm so wonderfully blessed to have you join me in my kitchen. And I will see you guys on the next cook, the next bake, or possibly just a prep. But no energy bars. I think I've done all of the different versions of energy bars for right now that you guys can try. And as I said, with a lot of the stuff I'll do this summer will be vegan based. And I'm doing it not just for myself, but also for a student that I have who's vegan. And I'm going to do a lot of things that don't require bacon. So she can prep it at home and practice, and then she'll be able to bring it back with her. But I'm not a total vegan. I used to be. I eat chicken, I eat turkey, and I eat fish. But I am slowly trying to transition back. So, you know, I believe in divine intervention. So I think this student coming to me and letting me know she was vegan and she was struggling with, you know, balanced meals, seeing that the cafeteria did not serve those vegan students, I felt compelled to do, you know, a couple of things to kind of help her out. Show her that she can go in the kitchen when she goes home for the weekend and prepare certain things that she can actually bring back and store, like in her refrigerator. And a lot of the stuff that does not even require that she have to bake or turn on the stove. All right? So I'm helping her out, and I'm also going to be helping myself out. All right? So thanks again for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next one.